My wife hit the Powerball for $3.1 million on a Tuesday night and hired a divorce lawyer before Wednesday morning. When I got home from the job site, she was standing in the kitchen with a glass of champagne, smiling at me like I was a stranger she'd been waiting to get rid of. "I don't need you anymore, James," she said. "I want you out by the weekend." I set my lunchbox on the counter, looked her dead in the eyes, and said, "Congratulations, Diane. You're going to need every penny." She had no idea what I already knew. My name is James Ellison. I'm 48 years old, and I run a small general contracting company out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, about 30 miles southeast of Nashville. I've been building houses, renovating kitchens, and repairing roofs since I was 22. When you frame a house, every measurement matters. An eighth of an inch off on a foundation, and the whole structure suffers for it. I spent my career paying attention to details. I just wish I'd paid the same attention to the woman I married. Diane and I had been together for 23 years. We met when she was a teller at First Horizon Bank, and I came in covered in drywall dust trying to deposit a check. She thought it was charming. I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. We got married 11 months later. We had 2 sons. Our older boy, Tyler, was 20 and studying engineering at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. Our younger, Marcus, was 17, a junior at Riverdale High, already talking about trade school. Good kids, solid kids. For 23 years, I thought we had a good marriage. Not perfect, but real. Diane handled the household finances because she worked at the bank and understood money better than I did. I trusted her with that completely. I focused on keeping the business running, bidding jobs, managing crews, making sure every project came in on time and under budget. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. The house was paid off. The trucks were paid off. The boys had what they needed. Then Diane won the lottery. She'd been buying Powerball tickets every week for as long as I could remember. $5 here, $10 there. I never thought much of it. She used cash from her own paycheck, or so she told me. When the numbers hit, she matched 5 out of 6 plus the Powerball. The jackpot was $3.1 million before taxes. After federal and Tennessee state withholding, she'd take home somewhere around $1.9 million. But here's the thing Diane didn't know. I'd already found something 3 weeks before her win that changed everything. It started with a piece of mail. I was home early on a Friday because a concrete pour got rained out. The mailman had just come and I grabbed the stack off the porch. Bills, junk, a catalog. And then a letter from Cumberland Credit Union addressed to Diane Ellison. I almost tossed it on her desk without thinking, but the envelope had final notice stamped in red across the front. I opened it. It was a statement for a personal line of credit I didn't know existed. The balance was $47,000. The account had been open for 3 years. Minimum payments had been made sporadically, and the letter was warning that the account was 60 days past due. $47,000 of debt I knew nothing about. I sat down at the kitchen table and stared at that letter for a long time. Then I did something I'd never done before. I went into Diane's home office and started looking through her files. What I found over the next 2 hours made me sick. 3 credit cards in her name only, all maxed out. Combined balance, $62,000. Cash advance receipts from the bank. Wire transfer confirmations to an online gambling platform called Grand Spin Casino. Deposits of $500, $1,000, $2,000 at a time, going back 4 years. I found printed account statements from the gambling site showing her total deposits over 48 months, $189,000. My wife had a gambling addiction I never knew about, and she'd burned through nearly $200,000 feeding it. Some of that money came from her salary. But when I cross-referenced dates with our joint checking account, I found transfers too. Small ones at first. $300 here, $500 there, then bigger, $1,000, $1,500. Always on days when I'd have no reason to check the account. The total taken from our joint accounts came to $83,000. I photographed everything. Every statement, every receipt, every transfer confirmation. I put the files back exactly where I found them. Then I called my buddy Ray Dawson, an attorney I'd done renovation work for the year before. I told him what I found and asked him what I should do. "Don't confront her," Ray said. "Don't move any money. Don't change anything. Just document and wait." If this heads toward divorce, you want to be the one with clean hands and a full file. So I waited. 3 weeks of going home every night, sitting across from a woman who smiled at me while hiding $189,000 in gambling losses and $83,000 stolen from our joint accounts. 3 weeks of acting normal while my stomach churned. Then she won the Powerball. The night she told me to get out, I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I asked her one question: did you buy that ticket with money from our joint account or your personal account? She laughed. What difference does it make? It's my ticket. My name is on it. My winnings. Just curious, I said. I packed a bag and drove to a La Quinta off Interstate 24. Clean room, security cameras in the parking lot, receipts for everything. I called Ray from the hotel. She kicked you out over lottery winnings, Ray said. I could hear him taking notes. Tennessee is an equitable distribution state. Lottery winnings during a marriage are marital property, especially if any marital funds were used to purchase the ticket. She's making a mistake. She thinks it's hers alone. She's wrong. And when we combine this with the gambling debt and the stolen money from your accounts, she's going to wish she'd never bought that ticket. Get some sleep. My office, 9 a.m. I didn't sleep much. Around midnight, my phone started buzzing. Diane. The first text: don't even think about trying to get any of my money. Then, I've already talked to a lawyer. You're getting nothing. 11 minutes later. You should have been a better husband. Maybe then I wouldn't have needed to find excitement elsewhere. That last one stopped me cold. Find excitement elsewhere. Was she talking about the gambling? Or something else? I screenshotted every message and forwarded them to Ray. The next morning, Tyler called me. Dad, what's going on? Mom called me saying she won the lottery and you walked out on her. That's not what happened, son. She said you were jealous and couldn't handle her success. Tyler, I need you to hear me. Whatever your mom tells you over the next few weeks, reserve judgment until you've heard both sides. Can you do that for me? There was a long pause. Yeah. Dad, I can do that. How are your classes? Dad, I'm not going to talk about classes right now. Are you okay? I will be, I said. I promise. At Ray's office that morning, I laid everything out. The gambling records, the stolen money, the credit card debt, the lottery win, her text from the night before. Ray reviewed it all methodically. He'd been practicing family law in Middle Tennessee for 25 years, and nothing surprised him anymore. Here's where we stand, Ray said. First, the lottery. She bought those tickets routinely during the marriage. Even if she used her own paycheck, in Tennessee, income earned during the marriage is marital property. The ticket was purchased with marital funds. The winnings are marital property. Period. She doesn't see it that way. The court will. Second, the gambling losses. She dissipated marital assets. That's a legal term meaning she wasted shared money on something that didn't benefit the marriage. A judge will factor that into the division. She essentially owes the marital estate $83,000 from the joint accounts, plus whatever portion of her salary-funded gambling could have gone to household expenses. And the credit card debt? Her name only, her problem. But here's the kicker. Ray leaned forward. She's got $109,000 in personal debt between the credit cards and the line of credit. That comes off her side of the ledger, not yours. After taxes, her lottery take-home is around $1.9 million. Subtract her debts, and she's already down to $1.79 million before we even start dividing assets. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mr. Ellison, this is Carla Webb from Webb Realty Group. Your wife contacted us about listing your home at 2214 Compton Road. She says she's the sole owner and wants to list immediately at $385,000. Can you confirm? I showed Ray the message. His expression hardened. She's trying to sell the house. Both your names are on the deed, correct? Both names. We bought it together in 2005. Ray picked up his phone and called Carla Webb directly. I listened as he explained that Diane had no authority to unilaterally list a jointly owned property, that any listing agreement she'd signed was invalid, and that if Webb Realty proceeded, they'd be facing a lawsuit. The call lasted 4 minutes. Carla Webb apologized profusely and said she'd cancel everything immediately. This is a pattern, Ray said after hanging up. She's moving fast, trying to lock things down before you can respond. That's actually good for us. Every reckless move she makes is evidence of bad faith. That afternoon, I got a call from Marcus, my 17-year-old. Dad, something weird happened today. His voice was quiet, the way it gets when he's trying to work something out in his head. What is it? Mom came into my room this morning and told me she's selling my truck. My chest tightened. That truck was a 1978 Ford F100 that my father had given me when I was Marcus's age. I'd rebuilt the engine with Marcus over 2 summers. We replaced the transmission, reupholstered the bench seat, repainted it the original candy apple red. That truck wasn't just a vehicle. It was a bond between 3 generations of Ellison men. She can't sell your truck, I said carefully. She said it's in her name. Is that true? I closed my eyes. The title. When we'd finished the restoration, I needed to register it. Marcus was 15 at the time and couldn't hold a title. I'd asked Diane to put it in her name temporarily until Marcus turned 18. It was a casual decision, a simple convenience. I never imagined she'd use it as a weapon. Don't worry about the truck, I told him. I'll handle it. I called Ray immediately. He drew up an emergency motion citing the truck as a gift to a minor child with documented restoration history. We had photographs of every stage of the rebuild, receipts for every part, and a written statement from my father confirming the truck had been his gift to the family. Ray filed it that afternoon. 2 days later, I discovered something that made the gambling and the stolen money feel almost small. I was going through our household email, an account we both had access to, looking for insurance documents. In the sent folder, I found an email chain between Diane and someone named Kevin Pratt. The emails went back 14 months. The early ones were friendly, then flirtatious, then explicit. My wife had been having an affair for over a year. I scrolled through the messages with a dead calm I didn't know I was capable of. Kevin Pratt. I didn't recognize the name. I searched for him and found a Facebook profile. He was a regional sales manager for a liquor distributor, lived in Smyrna, about 20 minutes from our house, 41 years old. Divorced. The emails made it clear that Diane had been spending money on this man. Hotel rooms at the Gaylord Opryland, dinners at expensive Nashville restaurants, a weekend trip to Gatlinburg. All funded from accounts I now realized she'd been systematically draining. I forwarded every email to Ray without reading another word. Then I sat in my hotel room and stared at the wall for a long time. The affair explained the text she'd sent me. Find excitement elsewhere. She hadn't been talking about gambling. She'd been talking about Kevin Pratt. The next morning at Ray's office, the picture was becoming clearer and uglier. Adultery is a fault ground for divorce in Tennessee, Ray said. And here's why that matters. In equitable distribution, a judge can consider marital fault when dividing property. An affair combined with financial misconduct gives us powerful leverage. I don't want leverage, I said. I want this to be fair. Fair is exactly what we're going to get. But James, fair in this case means you're going to come out ahead because she's the one who broke the marriage, broke the finances, and broke the trust. That evening, Tyler called again. This time his voice was different. Harder. Dad, I drove down from Knoxville to see Mom today. How'd that go? I asked her straight up if she'd been faithful to you. She told me to mind my own business. So I asked again. She said relationships are complicated, and I was too young to understand. Tyler, I'm 20 years old, Dad. I'm not too young to understand that a non-answer is an answer. Way was Mothant. Then she told me that if I sided with you, she'd stop paying my tuition. She looked me right in the eye and said, "Choose wisely, Tyler." My stomach dropped. She was using money to control our son, the same pattern the comment analysis had flagged in the original video. But this was my kid, and it was happening for real in this story. What did you say? I asked. I told her I'd take out loans. I told her that I watched you build a business with your hands, that you taught me what integrity means, and that no amount of lottery money was going to make me forget that. Then I left. I pressed my phone against my forehead and breathed. I'm proud of you, son. But I don't want you taking on debt because of this. Dad, I'd rather owe a bank than owe her my loyalty. After we hung up, I sat there for a while. Then I got a notification from the county court system. Diane had filed a petition for an emergency protective order against me. The filing alleged that I had made threatening phone calls, shown up at the house uninvited, and damaged property. None of it was true. I hadn't been near the house since the night she kicked me out. Every call I'd made had been to my sons, to Ray, or to subcontractors. I had hotel receipts, GPS data from my work truck, and security camera footage from the La Quinta showing me entering and leaving at times that made her allegations impossible. The hearing was scheduled for the following Monday at the Rutherford County Courthouse. Ray and I arrived early. Diane was already there with her attorney, a man in an expensive suit who looked like he charged $500 an hour and earned about half of it. Judge Robert Whitfield presided. He was in his early 60s, a no-nonsense judge known for having zero tolerance for fabricated claims. Diane's attorney presented her petition. He described a pattern of intimidation and aggression. He submitted photographs of a broken window at the house and claimed I'd thrown a rock through it. Ray stood up and methodically dismantled every claim. He presented my hotel records showing continuous occupancy, credit card receipts with timestamps and locations, GPS logs from my truck, security footage from the hotel showing me in the lobby at the exact time Diane claimed I was at the house throwing rocks. Your Honor, Ray said, Mr. Ellison has been physically absent from the marital home for 11 consecutive days. He has made no contact with Mrs. Ellison except through documented text messages, all of which were initiated by her. The allegations in this petition are demonstrably false. Judge Whitfield reviewed the evidence for several minutes. Then he looked at Diane. Mrs. Ellison, the timestamps on your husband's hotel records and GPS data directly contradict your sworn statements. Can you explain this? Diane's face went pale. I might have the dates confused. It was very stressful. Mrs. Ellison, the judge said, and his voice could have frozen the Cumberland River. Filing a false protective order is a criminal offense in the state of Tennessee. This petition is denied. I am noting in the court record that this filing appears to lack factual basis. I strongly advise you and your counsel to reconsider this approach. Diane's attorney looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. As we left the courtroom, Ray put his hand on my shoulder. That just destroyed her credibility for the entire divorce proceeding. Judges remember when someone lies under oath. This is going to follow her. That night, Marcus called me. He was whispering, Dad, I need to tell you something. Mom had a guy over at the house tonight. What do you mean? A man. I came home from practice and there was a black Audi in the driveway. When I came inside, Mom was in the living room with some guy I've never seen. She introduced him as a friend. But Dad, the way they were acting wasn't how friends act. She had her hand on his knee. He called her babe. Kevin Pratt. Had to bay. When I asked who he was, she told me it wasn't my business and to go to my room. In my own house, Dad. She told me to go to my room so she could sit with some stranger. He's not a stranger to her, I said quietly. I know, Dad. I'm not stupid. She's been cheating on you. Marcus, I'm sorry you had to see that. Don't be sorry. I'm glad I saw it. Because now I know the truth. Dad, I want to live with you. I don't want to stay in this house with her. We'll work that out, son. I promise. After we hung up, I forwarded Marcus's account to Ray and then sat in the dark thinking about my boys. Tyler was willing to take on student debt rather than accept his mother's money. Marcus wanted to leave his own home to get away from her. My sons had seen who their mother really was, and they'd chosen me. 2 weeks later, Ray called me into his office with news. The financial picture is complete, he said. And it's worse than we thought for Diane. He laid it out. The lottery winnings after taxes, approximately $1.92 million. But Diane had already been spending. In the 6 weeks since her win, she'd put a $40,000 deposit on a condo in the Gulch, Nashville's trendiest neighborhood. She'd leased a Mercedes GLE at $890 a month. She'd taken Kevin Pratt on a trip to Miami that cost $11,000 based on the credit card statements her own attorney had been forced to disclose in discovery. She'd paid off her credit cards, $62,000. And she'd paid off the Cumberland Credit Union line of credit, $47,000. So she's already spent or committed about $160,000, I said. It gets better. I subpoenaed her Grand Spin casino records. Her total gambling losses over 4 years were $189,000, but here's the part she didn't expect. She was still gambling. Even after the lottery win. In the past 6 weeks, she deposited another $35,000 into that platform. She's still gambling. Compulsive gambling doesn't stop because you get more money, James. It accelerates. And every dollar she gambles away is marital property she's dissipating. The court will hold her accountable for every cent. Ray pulled out a calculator. After taxes, debts, gambling losses, and reckless spending, her available assets are shrinking fast. And here's the final piece. He slid a document across the desk. The lottery ticket. What about it? I obtained the purchase records from the gas station on Broad Street where she bought it. The ticket was purchased at 6:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I cross-referenced that with your joint checking account. At 6:38 p.m., 9 minutes before the purchase, Diane used your joint debit card at the same gas station to buy $40 in fuel. The lottery ticket was bought on the same transaction receipt. I stared at him. She used the joint card. She used the joint card. The ticket was purchased with marital funds. Under Tennessee law, that makes the winnings 100% marital property. Not hers alone. Not even close. Everything Diane had believed, that the money was hers, that she could cut me out, that she could start a new life and leave me with nothing. All of it was built on a foundation of sand. Diane's attorney contacted Ray the following week requesting settlement negotiations. They knew they were losing. The settlement took 3 weeks to finalize. I received $740,000 of the lottery proceeds, representing my equitable share, after accounting for Diane's dissipation of marital assets. The house was sold and proceeds split equally. I kept my business free and clear, since it was established before the marriage, and Diane's financial misconduct eliminated any claim she might have had to its growth. Marcus would live with me, with liberal visitation for Diane if Marcus agreed, which at 17 he had the right to influence. Tyler's tuition would be covered from the marital estate before final division, so neither boy would carry educational debt because of their parents' divorce. Diane kept her remaining lottery money, the rental condo she'd already committed to, her gambling debts that continued to grow, and whatever future Kevin Pratt represented. The week the divorce was finalized, I got a call from a developer I'd done work for in Chattanooga. He was expanding into Knoxville and wanted me to partner on a series of residential projects. The contract was worth more in 1 year than my business typically did in 3. I accepted. On a Saturday evening 3 months after the divorce, I hosted dinner at my new place, a modest 3-bedroom house I'd bought outside Murfreesboro with a big backyard and a detached garage where Marcus and I had already started our next project, a 1969 Chevy C10 we'd found in a barn in Shelbyville. Tyler drove down from Knoxville. Marcus helped me grill steaks. Ray came with his wife. My foreman, Eddie, brought his family. We set up a long table in the backyard under string lights that Marcus had helped me hang the weekend before. After dinner, Tyler stood up with his glass. "I want to say something about my dad," he started. 6 months ago, his whole life got turned inside out. His wife betrayed him. She tried to take everything. She tried to turn us against him with money. But here's what she didn't understand about this man. Tyler looked at me. "You can't buy what he has. You can't fake it." He showed me and Marcus that a man's character is the only thing nobody can take from him. "Dad, you didn't just survive what happened. You became more of who you already were. And Marcus and I are going to spend our lives trying to be half the man you are." Marcus raised his glass. What he said. "Plus, we're finishing that C10 by Christmas, and I'm driving it to school." Everyone laughed. I tried to say something, but my throat had closed up. I just raised my glass and nodded. Later, after everyone had left and Marcus was inside doing homework, I sat alone in the backyard. The Tennessee night was warm and the crickets were loud. I thought about Diane. I'd heard from Eddie that she'd moved in with Kevin Pratt after burning through most of her remaining money. The gambling hadn't stopped. Kevin was reportedly losing patience. The condo in the Gulch was listed for sale after she couldn't keep up with the payments. I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel anger. I felt something closer to exhaustion, the kind that comes after you've carried something heavy for a very long time and finally set it down. I thought about what I had. 2 sons who chose me when it cost them something. A business that was growing. A new house that felt like mine. A truck in the garage that my 17-year-old and I were building together the same way my father and I had built the last one. I'd lost a wife who never valued what we had. I'd gained a life that was finally honest. Diane bought a lottery ticket and thought she'd won everything. But you can't win a life. You have to build it, one honest day at a time, with your own hands. I picked up my phone and texted both my boys. Proud of you. Both of you. Every single day. Marcus texted back first. Love you, Dad. Also, we need a new carburetor for the C10. Found one in Lebanon for $400. Tyler responded a minute later. Love you too, old man. See you next weekend. I set the phone down and listened to the crickets. For the first time in a long time, I didn't need anything else.